Greetings, survivors. Let's continue with our work. I installed one mod. What was it? I installed one mod. Not any of these. Oh, I installed the SMX. Okay, so that's the UI. So it should get a different UI now. And arrow drops, trader morning. Did it maybe not activate it? Well, let's see here. This leaves containers open. It's interesting, but I won't do that yet. CCTV, I'll probably use a different one. This is not non-SDX. This is a pure modlet, but with the mod manager now, mod launcher now doing the SDX thing for you, there is no need for to go non-SDX. Well, if the non-SDX works better, sure, but we don't know that. Now, this is something I was interested in. Donovan loot cleanup. So destroy bear's nest, garbage, and bags after looting them. And I really want that. I really want to, if I loot a garbage bag, I want it to go away. If I loot a bear's nest, I don't want it to go away, but I'll take that for the other. And honestly, um, if I want feathers, just go to any camp in the wilderness. Any camp in the wilderness. I know I have very few camps, very few wilderness POIs, but I do have them. Go to them, and there is a ton of vultures you can kill and harvest for feathers. And if you don't want to go to the wilderness, then there's plenty of buildings that have vultures on top of them. Um, uh, the butcher's place, for example, it's it's a non-issue for feathers. For eggs, yeah. Now, Jax has eggs in fridges, which is goes hand in hand with destroy bird's nest. He has a destroy bird's nest, but does not destroy the garbage bags, which is what I'm really interested in. So this one will give me eggs. And I'll probably eventually get Mayock's farm mod in, and that will have chicken coop. So, what else? Um, a big and wandering horde is interesting, but I don't want to look into that at the moment. Wilderness spawn is interesting, but I don't want to look into that. Lock picks, storage options. Reduce zombie block damage. Probably, I don't know. Specific microwaves, baby bears, sumo zombies, frame on nailed piggy herb, custom vehicles, custom firearms. I should add the farm thing here as well. Um, oh, this is the one I installed here. Pick Seeds mod. So this is very interesting. Let's look at what it does, or how it does it. That was a very it's a very interesting mod to look into. And today we are also going to look into power doors and elevators. Um, we are going to look a little bit closely at what I'm doing when I change these things. So here are the blocks. It's the only thing in this mod. It's changing crops growing master, a block. Huh, property whose value is crops growing master. That's the extends. But let's continue this. Let's ignore first this here. It's removing a property, and then it's adding a property to crops growing master, which is all crops descend from this one, saying can pick up equals true. So that this one will enable you picking up the seed, pressing E. Not only the seed, but the growing stage. You can also pick the growing stage pressing E. And while this one prevents anything from touching those seeds. So you won't be able to punch it. You won't be able to fire at it, hit it with anything. But then down here, it adds another property saying that the collide will be set to 2. And that should enable you to pick it up with a hole or something like this. Presumably. Given the comments, I think the author isn't very sure this does exactly what he do. But it's interesting. The collide thing is something that you see in a number of blocks. For example, if you look at I really need to improve the amount of things I'm looking at here. And by improve, I mean reduce. Recipes, yes. And these are kind of all needed. So if I look here at bars, not the kind that sells alcohol. So bar centered, okay, this works. It has this property called collide, and it says movement, melee, and rocket. So what does this mean? Collide comes from materials. So somewhere here on the Woods No Upgrade Master, it's saying what's the material of this. Materials, they either collide with everything or they do not collide with anything. So air does not collide with anything. Water doesn't collide with anything. That is changed, but it doesn't in principle. And pretty much all the materials collide with everything. If you wanted to collide with some things but not others, you can use this collide property. So, for example, sight. If the material collides, if the material is colliding with everything, including line of sight. So a zombie would not be able to see me. But if I come here and say, oh, these are the things it collides to, then these are the only things it's going to collide to. So if I try to move through the bars, it's going to stop me. If I try to attack through the bars, it's going to stop me. If I try to use a rocket launcher through the bars, it's going to stop me. Not going to stop arrows, it's not going to stop bullets, it's not going to stop sight. So that's the idea. Let's find crops growing master. So this is a template for all plants that are growing, not the final stage where you can harvest them. There is a crops harvest master for that stage. This template blocks, they are very common. If you have a bunch of properties that are shared by all the blocks, such as would no upgrade master, you have this master block, and then the other blocks, they say, oh, I'm extending this master block, and these are the differences. And we're going to see a different block here just to see what the differences are. So these are the crop growing master. you can see that the only collide it has is melee. So if you shoot at a seed, plant a planted seed, you're not going to hit it with a bullet, an arrow, with a rocket launcher. You might destroy the ground it's on, but if you walk through it, it's not going to collide with that. Uh, it only collides with melee, so that's why you can hit it to harvest it. Okay, um, and this is the harvestable master. This is for the plants that are ready to be harvested. But let's continue finding here crops grow. So we are going to find here planted mushrooms. I don't like planted mushrooms. Mushrooms are too different in many ways. So let's find another one. Yucca. Yucca is good. So it extends the crop growing master. It's fine. The material is corn. Uh, Material corn is actually the material for all grassy things. Shape is model entity. Model is the plant yucca sprout prefab. Um, the shape uh, this shape means the model will give the appearance of the thing. The model says, oh, you can find that model in this file. So that's a specific file that has the 3D model for that plant. And as it grows, it's going to grow into Yucca 2. And it belongs to group food cooking. It's available on creative mode without the dev modes. If you destroy it, you get a planted yucca counted one, which is the seed itself. Um, so that's how it works, and that's also how the collider works. So if we go back here, again, it says here anything that has a property whose value is crops growing master. And the reason behind that is, move here, let's get better. Let me remove these files here. I don't have need for them. Probably game stage materials as well. No, these materials is fine. So you see here that property extends, property whose name is extends has a value of crop scoring master. So this is one of the blocks that will be changed. And then it's removing the property who has a name collide. So again, we jump back here. It finds all blocks that extend crops growing master. It doesn't say extends, but this is enough for it to find it. I would personally do both things, put both extends and crops growing master in the condition, but and then it's going to find the whatever it has that says collide here and remove it. And in this case, it doesn't have any collide. But any plants that do have a collide, a different collide, they would be removed from here. And then it adds to the crops growing master. I can pick up property, and then it changes the collide at the crops growing master, which we saw was melee, to 2. So 2, presumably, if you punch it, you're not going to get anything. So I find that a very interesting mod. Now, another thing I want to look into is the drawbridge, because I want to test the Guppy's drawbridge. And Guppy's drawbridge, it has a, if you look at Guppy's, it's here. a Guppy's Drawbridge. It has a max damage of 1000, and that's on both of them, the 4 wide and the 5 wide. As I was saying, I'm fine with having a port cleese which is very strong, because that's like iron, right? Those are iron bars. They are literally iron bars. So I'm fine with having that being strong. And the drawbridge, which is simply a wooden board, which is reinforced, granted, it's not something weak, because uh, you have to uh, you have horses traveling on top of it. You have carts traveling on top of it. If it is drawn up, you want it to not be broken to pieces instantly. So you want some resistance to it. I'm fine with 1000 here. It's not a lot at all. That's it's better than flagstone, I suppose, but it's not very good. And oh, I was wondering about Portcullis. Portcullis collides with movement melee rockets and bullets. Huh. You might be able to fire arrows out of it. I have a question whether I can fire through the holes in the iron bars despite it colliding with bullets, because the hole is a hole. The drawbridge isn't literally there unless it's designed in such a way, the model is designed in such a way, but we are not looking at the models yet. So this is very weak, but I'm good with having it being very weak. Okay, but this is the, oh yes, I've got that there. So I was wondering what resources I would use, and I figure out about 10 forged iron. Um, I had that stat. I was compared to metal trussing, basically, and this is more expensive than metal trussing. Metal trussing is just 4 forged iron, and I'm giving it 10. And fine. 100 wood. I think it's not worth that much, but I'm fine doing that. Springs, mechanical parts, these are from the drawbridge. I think it's very expensive, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with having these things be expensive in that way. Makes sense to me. I'm happy to pay that price. I'm not happy with the fact that repair costs 250 iron and 20 forged iron. That's way too expensive for that max damage. And if I keep this recipe here, 10 forged iron, 100 wood. Um, oh, okay, you can harvest from 50 to 100 wood. That's fine. And you harvest from 12 to 24 forged iron. And you need 20 to repair. I'm not fine with either. So I have to change these things, and we are going to look into how are going to do that. Um, and the properties are the same for both drawbridges. So I'm gonna use a different um, modlet thing here, which is called set. So set is what changes attributes. Attributes being these things that have are displayed in red. Okay, so these things being displayed in red, they are called attributes. Their values are these things displayed in whatever color that is. These one in blue are called elements, just random information there. So first off, I have to give the xpath for that thing, whatever I'm going to change. Okay, and you see how the syntax is less than set space xpath equals quote quote greater than less than, slash set slash. This is the same everywhere. You can see when I move the mouse, the cursor over to the element, it shows corresponding one. It's like open and close. So this append starts here and ends there. Starts here and ends here. This one, it ends here because if you have a slash at the end, it says, oh, this ends right there. There isn't anything else. Now, let's go back to xpath. That says that's what's going to tell me where it needs to be changed. Well, this is Guppy's, and Guppy's is gonna change something in blocks. So it's gonna be here somewhere. Um, again, you have this open close thing. So if I click here on blocks, you can see that it goes all the way here, which is the end of the file. Okay, so blocks is a kind of a top level definition. That's where we start when we write our thing. So we start with blocks. And now I want to change this block here, the Guppy's Drawbridge. And I want to change both of them. So I want to change a block. And now I need a condition. So I'm going to use the square brackets to specify a condition. We have something similar here. I'm saying the Guppy's particulars. I'm saying that I want to append to the block whose attribute name is Guppy's particulars, this property here. So go here, we have the Guppy's particulars, and it has a name, which is equals that. And then there's a bunch of properties, and I'm going to append that other property here inside this block. Between this and this, it's going to go here at the bottom. And we're going to look also at how to debug this sort of thing. Now, both drawbridges are getting the same recipe. You can see that they both have the same repair items and harvest. So I'm going to use a condition here that covers both things. So instead of saying the name and copying this twice, I could do that, right? I could do name equal Guppy's drawbridge 4. I'm going to copy and paste just to make sure it didn't make a syntax error. And then make the same thing for Guppy's drawbridge 5. But instead, I'm going to say that starts with. Again, there are tutorials on the internet that explains XPath. It's not very hard. It can be a little bit hard at the start because it's unusual, but there isn't much to it. Okay, it's not. It fits in 4 pages. It's not a lot of material. So in that sense, it's easy to learn because there isn't much of it to learn. So I'm saying that I want everything whose name starts with Guppy's Drawbridge. Every block who has an attribute name that starts with Guppy's Drawbridge. So that covers both drawbridges. And I want to change the harvest for resource wood and the harvest for resource iron. And I want to change the count. So I need a condition here that says I want to change the property And you can see that this property here, oh, it's not a property, it's a drop. The element is a drop. So I want to change an element drop. And you can see this drop is underneath the block. And that's what the slash means. So inside blocks, there is a block. And inside this block, there is a drop. And now I'm going to put another condition here. And it's the event harvest. And I want another condition, which is, oh, sorry, the event is an attribute, not an element. So the attribute event is harvest. And the attribute name is resource wood. Okay, so it's going to find a drop whose attribute event is harvest and whose attribute name is resource wood. And then I want to change the count. And then I just place here what the count should be. Here it says the count is between 50 and 100 and the repair is 250. So presumably Guppy intended the cost to be 250 and 50 forged iron. I thought of making it cost that much, but then I'll definitely have to have more damage, 2500. I'm thinking, or maybe just 2000. But instead, I think I'm going to take the lesser damage, but make it cheaper. More changes to make. But fact is that he set the what you can get by ranging it to 40%. So 40% of wood, and I did specify on my recipe 100 wood. That's going to be 40, and so he's saying that between 10 and 20, no, between 20 and 40%. That's what he has here. So the 50 to 100 is going to be changed to 20 to 40. We do that with set, and we specify the path that goes all the way to the count that we want to change. Now you're going to do the same thing for the resource forged iron. And 12 to 24, and the repair is 20. That's bizarre. I'm gonna use the same count, 20 to 40%. So for 10 for the iron, you get 2 to 4. It's not very good to ranging thing, but who cares? It's mine. Now this one is interesting because these two properties are inside this one. So I want to find a property whose name is repair items, whose class is repair items, not name. So I'm gonna set, and all of this is going to be the same. But now I'm gonna find a property whose class is repair items. And then it has two properties inside. One is wood 250, and this is a problem because there is no such thing as wood. The name is resource wood, and the other is resource forged iron. So I'm gonna change resource forged iron here. Oops, how the hell? Must have typed something wrong. Property whose name is resource forged iron, and then I'm gonna change the value, the attribute value. And then I close the xpath with the double quote. And the repair is going to be, I'm not going to place 10, I'm going to place 8. Should be easier, cheaper to repair than to remake. So I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to remove the xpath. It's a different thing. It's a different thing here. Now remove is tricky. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna keep that. The problem is that if Guppy fixes this, then this thing is gonna break. But I'm gonna go with this for now. So that thing here, this thing here, is removing the property underneath the repair items, the property whose class is repair items, underneath the blocks with names starting with Guppy's Drawbridge, is removing the property whose name is wood. And I'm going to do an append, and the xpath here is repair items. So inside that repair items, I'm going to append I'll just copy here. So 80% and the name is resource wood. So I removed the one that says wood and added one that says resource wood. I could also change the name from wood to resource wood and the value from 250 to 80. It's another thing I could do. Or since I'm basically replacing the whole repair items, I could remove the whole repair items and then append both properties directly. That's usually the easiest ways to do. Just remove everything that is wrong and add everything the way you want it. I just want to be different. I don't know. So we changed the both harvest options. We changed both repairs. We added recipes. So that's fine. Now, let's look into other things. The elevator. The elevator is interesting, and if you look at the description, it says, for example, unlimited number of floors. You can restrict the number of floors in the XML if you want. Okay, and I can come here to, I copied this elevator here. There is no mod info, so it's not going to be loaded. There's no recipes, but you can see here it says the maximum number of floors can be configured here. And it's here, max floor count equals 0. So if I change here, I change the maximum number of floors. Then how it works. If you press R while select floor text is showing, you get the floor count at the bottom of the screen. Interesting, I did not know that. The control floor requires power. This can be disabled in the XML. So it requires power, true. Other floors do not require power unless you enable it on the XML. And if you look at the other floor here, requires power, false. Floors can be placed both above and below the control floor. I did not know that. I thought the control floor had to be at the bottom because a previous version worked that way. So my thing on Darkness Falls would have been way easier if I knew that. Much easier. I will start with the middle floor, the one at the ground level, and then go both ways. But this is very interesting, very, very interesting, because I want this elevator for the mine I'm making in the desert. I mined it in the desert after last episode. Floors can be added and removed any time and can be placed before or after the control floor is placed. This is makes things really easier. Floor numbers will automatically adjust. Control floors are limited to one per position. Positions, blah, blah. Elevator will move up and down to the next floor when the floor it's at or heading for is removed. So if I remove the floor and the elevator is there, then it's going to move somewhere else. 4 sizes, a 3x3, a 5x5. Then there's a 4x8 for cars and bikes, but it's not working. And it has another one, which is a 3x3 actually. 4, 8. Yeah, it's this one. This one is a 3x3, and this is fully enclosed. It's interesting. Okay, so just briefly looking, and you can see here elevator speed, the name of the floor, a bunch of other stuff that can be changed. But we are not going to look into that right now. I might enable, put a mod info just to get it from creative. So let's find the remote switch. I'm gonna copy this because it has the name of the author. It's 308. Yeah, this description's too big. I want to grab the mod version here. Okay. And then I'm going to change this. So the mod version for this is this. I'm going to copy this site here. Makes it easy to find. Finally, I'm going to place, well, the description is going to be elevators for alpha 17 SDX. There's a no SDX version. The name is going to come from the directory. SDX elevator A17. Okay, this should allow this mod to be activated. Now again, there is no recipe, so I can only get it from creative. We can look at it from creative. But this episode is already going very long, so we're probably not going to look into that. Now this file needs to be saved. And the recipes need to be saved. The recipes are saved. So that's the elevator, and I had already downloaded it. But I also want to get the powered doors and hatches. Okay, because we want to change the Guppy's part keys and drawbridges to be powered. So this mod requires SDX. Then there is download link. It requires SDX073. Then there's a demo, and there's a bunch of nodes. There's a bunch of nodes. These are basic descriptions. Here are some options. Auto open close option for XML. all doors are set to auto trigger. So if they're not set to auto trigger, you have to manually press E to open or close them, and they will only open or close if they are powered. So uh, I think that's a bit senseless, unless I do not understand correctly what this auto open is. So option for XML for top and bottom power input locations. Um, we can look at when we start working with this. We probably have to look at that again. Option to XML to toggle auto trigger on and off. I thought that was the option up there. XML for 4 power inputs. It's off by default. If on, the extra inputs will be 1 block above the 2 inputs. And option to XML for the doors to close when powered and open when unpowered. By default, this is off. So if there is power, they will open. If there is no power, they will close. And there is an option to make this the other way around, which I find very interesting. Because consider a motion sensor. You can make a door open if a motion sensor detects you, so it will open. And then if it's no longer detecting you, it will close. But imagine I want something different. I have my drawbridge and the drawbridge is down, but I have this motion sensor, which is a guard in my castle. And if that guard in my castle sees a zombie coming, he's going to close the drawbridge. So in that case, I want to close if I provide power, because the motion sensor, if it detects something, it provides power. So this is very interesting. Because I kind of want both options, I will probably have to copy blocks and duplicate them so that both options are available. And then animation speed. Now there is the download link, and this is one of the reasons I talked about this before, okay? So you have to be very careful where exactly is the download link, because there's a bunch of things here that are not the download link, okay? So for example, there's this big start button here. No, this is the file convert to download button, right? It's not the download link. This one, not the download link. No, this one here is the download link, and only this one. And this is here on Mediafire. It could be on different sites. It could be the download link could be different, and sometimes it asks you to jump to a different page to click on the download link, etc. So I'm going to click here, and it's downloading here. It's downloaded already, as a matter of fact. Well, it's okay. It hasn't shown the ad that I saw before. No, never mind. Okay, so right. I wanted to show the ad. There is a different ad that shows a page like that, but it's saying different things. And then it opens a window saying, your download is ready. Click here to start. And my download was already finished. And that click here to start, that's something you do not want to click. So that's one reason why I personally prefer download the things only from Mod Manager, even if I can easily find the link elsewhere. It's just safer, I think. But I'm going to download this. Okay, so extract. We have been through this thing before. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to mods directory, paste it here. So there's the power doors. And I could go to the elevator and copy the mod info here. and then go back to the power doors because again, no mod info file. I'm gonna open this one, get the version. Now here's saying game version alpha 16.2, but I know that this this power doors has been converted to alpha 17. So say here, I click a different download link. Okay, so this is probably wrong. And close this. I'm gonna go back here. This is a different version. So that one's alpha 16. It will not work. It will probably break stuff. It would not be good. So download link up here. And you see it's a very small file. The elevator is much bigger because it actually has models for the elevator, but the powered doors, it's just the normal doors. Well, they get powered. That's that. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna close this and I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna come here on mods and paste it again. And again, I'm going to the elevator. I'm gonna copy this. Um, let me restore this power door thing because I'm going to copy the link here. We're going to go to power doors and hatches. I'm going to paste this and then edit info. Name power doors and hatches. I can copy this to the description. It's a pretty good description. I can go here. No, this is downloads. That's not the one I want. Okay, I'm gonna rename this to remove the version. I don't like this character very much. Let's hope it doesn't cause any issues. Okay, I'll have to save this elsewhere. Rename the directory, but enter here. And this is the version. This is the site. Oh yes. No. File, save as this. Yes. Entity no name. I might have made an error here somewhere. No, I know this. Okay, that's XML thing. you cannot use this character. This is equivalent to the ampersand character. So I told you guys I did not like that character. And in fact, I dislike it so much that I'm going to rename it to and. I'll save that. And I'm going to go back here. I'm going to change the name again and remove this from it. All right. Did it show the mod? No, because the mod doesn't have that full name. And now we are going into the config. And this does have recipes. So I can craft these blocks. But more interesting perhaps is looking at the blocks. You see that it extends garage door metal V1. And then it has a class, and an auto trigger and top input. But the extends and the custom icon point to garage door metal V1. The same is everything else is the same for all the blocks. Okay, so it is creating the door. It is basically using the basic door, right? So in principle, I can come here and I have a Guppy's Drawbridge, for example. I can do something like this. I'm going to change it here because I downloaded this by hand, so it doesn't matter. Powered Guppy's Drawbridge 4, right? And I'm going to have a property whose name is extends and whose value is Guppy's Drawbridge 4. And then I have a property whose name is, does Guppy's Drawbridge 4 have a custom icon? It probably does. Custom icon Guppy Drawbridge, so I don't need to add a custom icon. It already is. I am already getting one from the extension. And I'm gonna say this is a powered door. It has an auto trigger. Top input. I don't like top input. It's fine. Right. And everything else is the same. And I can go here. I'll save this. I can come here. I'm gonna add a recipe. Powered. Oops. Guppy's Drawbridge 4. Count is 1. Craft area is workbench. And then the resources, it's going to be the same as my own recipes for the drawbridge, right? Or I could place this on my file, the Guppy thing, but for now I'm going to place it here on the powered thing. To that, I'm going to add electrical parts. Leave everything else the same. Same as it's the same thing for the other ones. The drawbridge, okay, it has 6. Let's do 6. Okay, so we have a recipe and we have a block, and that should allow us to make an electrical powered drawbridge, if I'm not mistaken. I'm worried about the stop input. Now there are other things here. Door control, yes. So door control says that it repairs with forged iron. That's incorrect. It's resource forged iron. And this one extends the electric wire relay, but I dare say it should also have a property glass repair items. And here's a thing. There's this upgrade block here, the class upgrade block. It's open and close. This isn't changing anything. Um, uh, the idea here was to prevent the garage door from being upgraded to the V2, the powered garage door from being upgraded to the normal garage door V2. And the author did this thinking it would change something. This isn't changing anything. Um, it can only add, it cannot remove. Or it can it can add or it can change but not remove. So I'm gonna add a repair item here because this door control relay is crafted. The concrete door control is crafted with concrete mix and rebar frame blocks. So it's like a block of concrete. So concrete. Let's see, find a concrete master. So concrete master has repair items, concrete mix 8, so 80%. So we're gonna place this. It extends the electric wire relay, but adds as repair material concrete mix. Oops, no, this is a door control relay. This is not the one I want. This is the one I want. The door control relay, it's just a wire relay, but control doors. Okay. So I'm gonna save this. And we're finally going to jump in game. I'm gonna move here. And I can remove this. Now there's all these options on the XML to control inputs above or below. We will have to look into that when we start actually using it to get the correct, most convenient location. The power doors, I have videos for it because it's present on Darkness Falls. You use a different block type. It's the door control relay or the concrete door control. Door control relay looks like a wire relay. The concrete door control looks like a concrete block, but it's a wire relay and a door control. And you need to place these blocks relative to the block. Actually, this is the drawbridge is bottom input 1 I want. So what I actually want is not, I don't want it to work like a garage door. I want it to work like the drawbridge. So auto trigger true, bottom input 1, up and on powered false. Glass is powered. No, not this one. Powered hatch, powered vault door, powered garage, powered drawbridge. The class is powered drawbridge mods. So it's different. I'm gonna save this, I'm gonna exit and start the game again. Well, it happened again. The voice, as you have noticed, went bizarre again. I think I now know what's going on. It seems that when I exit 7 Days to Die, the audio becomes crappy like that. I At least one other case, it happened as when I exit 7 Days to Die. And I wonder if I switch to a different window and then go back, if the same thing happens, that could explain some other instances. Well, um, this episode was very long anyway. It was very long because it did not work. Um, no matter what I tried, I could not make that uh, that power drawbridge to work. And after I recorded this, I finally figured out exactly what needs to happen for it to work. So you're really not missing anything. Um, and I think the most important parts were this before we entered the game, and I wasn't really playing. I was trying to make a block work, and the block didn't work. I destroyed it and I tried again. So um, that was all. I hope this video was useful to you, and I hope you enjoyed. And thank you for watching.